And we're back. Welcome to the Weekly Roundup, the place where we unpack what's been going on in the yoga and wellness world and what we've been coaching our clients through. I'm Shannon, and I'm here with fellow coach Terry.
And
Hey,
as you can
Terry.
see, hey, Shannon, as you can see, we're a little bit of a diminished group today, which is not unusual in the summertime.
Things happen.
Particularly, it happens. And I think one of our coaches has a stomach bug. There's a variety of reasons why your staff might be diminished. And what happens when that is impacting your studio? And so we're going to kick it
Mm.
off today with some real world yoga shit. And when I say shit, I mean shit.
Mm.
And it's interesting that we always say yogis, we're so connected and we're so this and we're so that. But at the end of the day, we can be people. And as Josh likes to say, people will people. When some people can't get their yoga, they can become downright nasty. And
That is a fact.
that is a
And
fact because people are involved. And when anybody time you get people involved. So we want to talk about what do you do when you're in a situation, again, summertime, Shannon's going to speak to this directly, is that teachers go on vacation, you don't have staff, someone fails to show up, and then you literally have the inmates screaming for bread and water and making everybody's life miserable. How do you navigate that as a business owner? And when you have, oh, sometimes it seems to be like just a little cohort. I've experienced, a little cohort of long-term practitioners with a huge sense of entitlement. And then unfortunately, sometimes it involves a couple of longtime teachers, and then you have this little pocket of malcontents and pettiness and just downright nasty behavior. How do you navigate that if that's happened in your studio? And how do you navigate that as a business owner so that we obviously don't want the monkeys running the zoo or the inmates running the asylum kind of thing? So I'll pass it to you, Shannon, because I know we've talked about you've dealt with this your very issue this summer, right?
yes, it's one of those things that I'm grateful for the experience because hopefully it can help somebody else avoid it. But yeah, this summer we had a ton of teachers traveling. We have several modalities on our schedule. One is a long-term modality that we basically opened, 10 years ago with that class. And it has very loyal practitioners who are very upset when their yoga is meddled with. But we also, in the course of 10 years, have added other modalities which have become extremely popular at the studio. So we've had to make some changes and make those changes based on what the numbers are telling us, where people are actually, what classes people are actually attending. But in this case, with that original modality, there is a teacher shortage.
Yeah.
We're dealing with a teacher shortage, and there's only so much that you can do on your schedule to make a class sustainable. You can't have one person teaching all the classes because that
No.
leads to a whole other can of
That's burnout.
worms.
Yeah, that's burnout. And it's
You
not
can't
and
have
it's not
that,
fair. It's not sustainable.
right? People need to take vacations. I mean, it's summertime. I had seven instructors traveling basically in the month of July or away for various weeks, and it's like you have to make it work. It's unfortunate. You want the experience to be consistent for the clients, but also it has to be sustainable for your staff. And they're people. They need to go and take time off. Like they're not robots.
Oh, gee, let's talk about yoga is about balance.
Hmm,
And maybe we're trying to live a value in our business of creating balance for our staff and ourselves as owners, particularly if you're a newer studio owner or have a smaller space. It's like you have to have balance yourself in your life.
for sure. And there's only so much that you can do with a limited talent pool. And what is it? Like, where do you go for the answer? Well, where you go for the answer is what we always say is you go to measure. You
Yeah.
have to you have to look at the data. You have to look at like what classes are people going to the most and how can I optimize the schedule towards, having making the most people happy most of the time. You're not
Yeah.
going to make everybody happy. You just, it's
You can't.
impossible.
It's impossible. And then that's actually, I think, where we fail in maybe a good way, if there's such a thing as good failure, is that we are trying to appease too many people. And in trying to appease, everybody, you basically appease no one. And I like what you said about the data for sure. We always talk about, well, what do the numbers show? And then specifically, Shannon, I love what we came up with in terms of how you navigated it. And I think this is an elegant solution. It's not necessarily a long-term solution. It will come back when the teachers come back, but it was the perfect solution for this time. And tell us what your pro tip, what did you do in this case, Shannon, when you had multiple teachers out and you couldn't get the classes covered?
Yeah, well, we made a summer schedule adjustment. I mean, there are certain times of year where you can do that sort of thing that doesn't upset the apple cart. And I think the summer is one of those times. People do expect for them to be some sort of changes to the schedule. And we just moved that particular class to whatever the most popular times for that class were. And the ones that were non-performing, we replaced with something else. And guess what? Those classes are doing amazing in those slots. They are overperforming in those slots. So it actually turned out to be the right thing to do anyway.
Well, let me ask you this then. Okay, so you have these people that are obviously this one cohort of long-term practitioners, very vocal. Oftentimes they tend to be very vocal. And how did you, I guess, first question is, how did you navigate that? And what specifically were you replied to them? And then two, just curious, did anybody cancel their membership or stop coming? Because I
So
think that's a big fear for people. I'm sorry, that's a big fear, and we always coach from, anybody knows you never want to do anything from a position of fear. So we always coach from that. So if you're in that fearful position, that oh my gosh, if I do this, I'm going to lose all these people. I'm going to lose these members. I'm going to lose this revenue. What was the outcome for you, Shannon, in that case?
Well, I think as the owner, you can't run away from these kind of conversations. These are just the difficult conversations that you have to have as the owner. And your staff shouldn't be delivering this information. You should be. And so I was on site quite a bit because I was actually in town and actually filled in quite a bit for, some of the instructors that were away and fielded these type of questions of, well, what's going on with this class and is this class coming back? And, well, we missed this class, we want this class. And, I'm just honest with them. Hey guys, we only have two people that can teach this class right now. We can only have this many classes on the schedule right now. Of course, we want to bring them back, but it depends on teacher availability. We can only do what we can do. And, it's motivated some people to say, like, well, maybe I'll go to teacher training. I'm like, great.
Great.
Let's get you signed up.
Well, didn't you also say that you found, was it a couple weeks ago on the round one? I think it was you that said about the challenge, and somebody that never only took that one specific modality
Yes.
is now, it has decided, took other modalities and was like, oh, I kind of like these other
Yeah,
modalities.
we kind of flipped the script on people too, because not only did we make the summer schedule changes, but we also ran a quasi bingo challenge, which was really more about getting to every single modality that we offer on our schedule within the month of July. And we had some super hardcore people on both sides of our, high intensity classes and our traditional yoga classes that flip-flopped and are now like embracing the entire schedule. So there are some ways that you can sort of play around with it and make it fun.
Fun.
Yeah, there are ways to do it. And that really worked for us. I mean, our hardcore yogi who was like, I am so
I'm
mad that
never
all these
going to
classes
take
are
this
gone,
class.
is now like the biggest hit Pilates fan ever.
Yeah.
And vice versa. It's been really it's been very cool.
And did you lose any members over it? Did anybody cancel their membership?
So we had some people, kind of threaten us, but nobody's really, I've had maybe one or two people say, I'm gonna pause for now, or I'm gonna cancel and list that as the reason. But when we go back in, once again, we go back into the data, we see that they were already sort of trending
downward anyway.
They were already kind of like a churn risk, as Walla calls it.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know?
And that's at the end of the day, it didn't really hurt you.
No.
In fact, it probably helped you.
I mean, it helped me a lot because
Yeah.
it gave me the confidence to to just stand behind my staff and not shrink in front of my clients. And obviously, like they're paying for a service and we want to give them exactly what they want. And the way that we know what they want is by what classes they go to
Yeah, we can make
regularly,
on the data.
which we can measure.
Yeah, which you can measure. I think, yeah, gosh, I just had a senior moment. Man, I'm having a lot more of those these days. Uh, I was going to say something incredibly profound and I just forgot. Something to do with, okay, so there was no like, oh, I know what I was going to say. We talk about, and we've talked about this before, the 3% rule.
Yeah.
This is a great rule. I don't even like call it a rule. It's I don't know. Let's just call it a rule. Is when you make a change and you do a change in your business, whatever the change, and sometimes it can be the simplest things will set people off. You never know. But if you do a change and there's a reason why you do the change and you've backed it up with the data, like in Shannon's case, yes, I've got to reduce the schedule. I got to flip flop some of these. I just don't have the staff to teach them. I'm not going to burn out the other staff. Is if less than 3% of the population, your client complains, then it's like, If it's like a huge tsunami of complaints and it's not just the vocal few, because I think every studio has that vocal few, right? If it's a real, like truly a tidal wave tsunami of complaints about a change, then it's like, maybe this wasn't the best idea. Right. And there's nothing wrong with going back and saying, hey, we did this change. You responded. We listened to you. And therefore, we're going to do this instead. That actually can earn you a lot, I think, a lot of respect. It's like as opposed to you make the change, there's this huge backswell, unless you absolutely have to do it. I mean, there are times when you have to do that, and that's okay too.
I mean,
But
teachers' lives are always changing. The other thing that I always tell my clients is like teachers come and go. Like we can't be attached. It's actually one of the limbs of yoga. I'm sure Josh would tell us which one, but because I
yeah,
don't actually
the non-attachment limb.
non-attachment. And it's like people have to live their lives and we
Yeah.
don't own people. I had not only did I have two teachers that were teaching this modality that were away for a whole summer, I had another teacher move out of state. The things I can't control, and I'm gonna explain to people very plainly and clearly, like, this is just what's happening right now. We'll do the best we can. And we know how important your yoga is to you. We're working on it. The other thing that we did is I have my first retreat scheduled for the
Mm.
end of the month, and the retreat that we're offering is specifically for that modality. And
Hmm.
I'm teaching all the classes at the retreat. So it's kind of like I'm put it's a little like gift from my heart to them because I know they feel back burner. I understand. And it's something that as the studio owner, it's such an important thing to me and I want them to get their yoga. And so, they have to come to Mexico with me and do yoga.
And isn't it wonderful that we have some like little tools on our computers that we can just, it is the principle of non-attachment is the fifth yama ethical
Thank you.
guideline in Patanjali's eight limbs of yoga. And I'm going to butcher this. It is Garha, Ar,
Opera gar, yes, you're right.
yes,
Mhm.
non-attachment, non-grasping, non-possessiveness.
Yes. We
So
also, yeah, exactly.
yeah. And then kind of like, wow.
Well, also, I mean, we had
I
that
was just gonna
issue.
say, I had a hashtag Terry's mom moment.
Mm.
My mother's 95th birthday would have been yesterday, so of course my sibs and I are all trading pictures back and forth of birthday times and things like that. And so kind of sort of would have just put my mother on edge. She taught English and it would be like sorry, mom, fingers on the chalkboard. So now I totally forgot the point I was gonna make. Oh, yes. How in this whole principle of non-attachment, principle of non-violence and acceptance, How then do you navigate when you are dealing with a client who is absolutely out of control, mean, nasty, and is literally putting your staff in tears? Like when you have an 18-year-old front desk person and this person is all over the staff person who has absolutely zero control over if the teacher shows up or not, because this just happened to one of my clients. The teacher just failed to show. It does happen. I mean, there, yeah, it does happen.
You hate it when it does, but
You
it
hate it
happens.
when it does. And then the people screaming at this few handful of people screaming at this, I'm sure, darling young 18-year-old. I'm surprised she didn't just up and quit then and there and walk out, but she didn't. She kind of held her ground, but she was in tears. Is then how do you deal with that type of behavior as the owner in the studio?
Yeah, I mean it's misplaced aggression. You're yelling at the wrong person.
Yep.
If you wanted to yell at somebody, you should yell at the teacher for not showing up. Projecting your anger onto a front desk person who's really just trying to do the best they can with a kind of a messed up situation is completely inappropriate behavior. And as the owner, you have, again, it's one of those conversations that you must have. But it's not about admonishing them. It's about saying, "Hey, I understand this is like really important to you. I see where you're coming from. I know you want your yoga. Do you think that we wanted the teacher to
Yeah.
not?"
And
I mean, you
there's
have to like get down to a level of just like pure honesty and
yeah,
relatedness with them and be in it with them because,
and
they're showing their they're showing their non-yogi side.
and if this is a pattern saying that, our core values, this is not how we treat people, and perhaps this is not the place for you anymore. Basically, fire them. If it's a pattern, like in this case, you've got that constant whine or complaint. I know Bridget's talked about this before.
Mm,
It's like just saying, I hear what you're saying. I'm so sorry. And perhaps this just isn't the place for you anymore.
right.
I mean, shit happens.
I think that's
Um,
an appropriate approach as well. It's
yeah,
like you can't be talking to my staff
you
that
can't be
way.
talking to my staff. You can't be treating my even myself that way. You can't be treating
Mhm.
my staff that way. And it's just like perhaps this is no longer the place for you. And I will give this owner a lot of credit because there was one particular person that was saying that she was running a bad business and she didn't know what she was doing and she had all these suggestions of what. And so the owner called her and asked and said, "Hey, I'm open to suggestions." "Well, I'm not a yoga teacher. I don't know my own business. I don't know what to do." She said, "Well, you said that you had some ideas, and I'm open to hearing them because I really would like to stop a teacher not showing up." I mean, she did it in a way as like from a place of genuine like honesty and heartfelt, like kind of basically like, "What the fuck did you expect me to do
Right.
when the teacher did not show up?" And it was Sunday morning. There was no way anybody could get there in time.
But
I'm
also,
sorry.
I think in this case that you're talking about, there was an alternative proposed. And because of sort of like the group think and the aggravation level of sort of everybody in the studio at that point met with a lot of dissent. They
Yeah,
were they were upset at the solution.
right.
It was like they weren't going to be happy no matter what.
Yeah, yeah. And actually, in the case with I believe what the owner should have done is just like cancel the class
Yeah.
instead of trying to do this patch
Class should have
fix.
just been canceled.
Class should have been got canceled.
Everybody go home. Go do yoga in the park.
Go to Yoga Park. We'll put, whatever, deal with the fallout. But in
Or
terms
as
of
or
this,
as our friend Terry Almquist used to say, enjoy Savasana.
enjoy Savasa. There we go. Toes up. Take a toes up. Toes up. Um, and at the end of the conversation, the upshot of this was is that this person kind of like in the beginning was very defensive, almost verbal, almost hostile. "Why are you calling me?" kind of thing. "I don't want to be interrogated." She said, "Why are you interrogating me?" is what the young woman said. When at the end of the conversation, it was like, "Yeah, I realized that must have been really hard for you." So that was, I think, and the fact that the owner did that, I think that was really good. And it just goes to show that it is okay to be human, I guess,
For sure.
for sure.
And it's also, people do kind of need to see behind the curtain a little bit.
A little bit, not
You
a
know what
lot,
I
but
mean?
just a little bit.
Whereas like, 15 years ago when we all had our studios open for the first time, there were like 600 teachers being cranked out every year. Right now, that isn't the case. And
No.
there's multiple teacher trainings out there that have to be vetted, and you have to, you know what I mean? It's like I have very few YTTs where I'm like, yes, I think you should go to this YTT because I think that when you're done, you'll be able to actually teach a class instead of having me mentor you
Well, and that's the other thing
one-on-one
too.
for
It's
several months.
yeah, just because people go to YTT, it's still those of you who are studio owners know that you don't learn to teach at YTT. You get the base, like the teaching comes from experience and teaching and mentoring and helping, and that is a big, big process. And sometimes the studio owners just don't have the bandwidth to do that. So there's all these factors that play into it. But one thing that was very interesting in this particular scenario, and I think it's a great segue to what you're talking about, what you're doing right now, Shannon, is in this cohort of long-term veteran practitioners at this studio, they have this like, I don't know, a text group. And some of the long-term teachers are also in that text group. So then we've got a little bit of overlapping there. So this kind of comes to back to our favorite topic, which is our human resources and how do we deal with that? I mean, it's one thing with clients, but then it's a whole nother level when we're talking about our staff. And I think one thing that Shannon is going through right now, and I'll let her speak to this, is one way to mitigate some of that stuff with teachers is by reviews, or a formalized staff review process. And if you're listening to this going, oh my, I've been open for 15 years, never done a staff review, or if you're brand new, oh, how do I do a staff review? I'm gonna let Shannon talk. I mean, I had my review process. I did do a staff review. So Shannon, why don't you speak to yours a little bit, how it evolved and what are some simple things like, because Bridget loves them, pro tips to
Hmm.
for someone just to start. If they've never done one, where do I start and how do I do it?
Yeah, well, so full disclosure, Terry has been my coach for 5 years. So a lot of things that Terry says I have done because she's my coach. And as far as staff
Thank you, Shannon.
reviews, it can be an overwhelming prospect. But there's lots of tools that you can use that practical tips, lots of tools you can use to sort of distill all the information and communicate with your staff members if they're on track, if something needs work and have it come from a place once again of the data and not from some emotional place. We have several things in place, which is, we utilize all of our technology tools. We use our payroll service as sort of the initiator of our review process. We have our employees do a self-review first. So just a couple normal questions like, how do you feel this year is gone? What do you think you can improve on? Just sort of like getting them involved in the process of like, this is going to be a conversation where we're going to discuss your presence and contribution to the studio. And once we receive their self-evaluation, we then gather all the data from our software with respect to first visit retention, teacher ranking, which is a great report that Walla has. We love that report. Popularity, reliability, and then we factor
Ooh,
in a
that's a
couple
good
other.
one. Reliability.
Yes. Yes. So we factor in all those things. We add that data to the review that we're going to conduct with the instructor. And then we basically just sort of speak to whatever it was that they said in their self-evaluation. I agree with this. Yes, you have stepped up in this way. These are the things that you need to work on. These are your numbers. How can we help you? Or this is incredible. You're doing amazing, whatever it is. And then, the discussion of compensation is sort of an annual thing. And what we're moving into next year for 2027 is doing a quarterly review of the performance metrics so that it doesn't come out of the blue. Right now, we're doing it annually, and it's kind of like, we haven't talked in a year. Like, you have no idea. And you may know, I mean, everybody knows what their numbers are, really. They know how busy their classes are. But giving
Well,
them,
they know how busy they know how busy their classes are. A lot of teachers will. You can tell if it's full or not. But what they don't know is what their first visit retention rate is. And I've seen this where with a client is that they're very popular teacher, but when we drilled into it, he was very popular with existing clients and the teachers. He was like what I call a teacher's teacher.
mm,
He was crap with beginners.
right,
And his first visit retention was like less than 20%. So that means for every 100 new clients that took his class, less than 20 came back, not just to his class, but to any class in the, and that's not a good thing to have.
nope,
Yes, his classes were full, but he was a detriment to new people. So
right.
that's, I think that is a really, really important metric beyond just and that's why we talk about using all the metrics. It's like your capacity, your attendance, all of those things, including first visit retention. Because you have a teacher that maybe their class capacity isn't at the top of the charts, but when you look at their retention, they're a rock star. They're wonderful
Absolutely.
with the new people. They get the new people to come back. I'd rather have 5 or 6 of that type of person than 1 or 2 people that their classes are full, but their retention sucks.
But we also include in the review if there have been any incident reports involving that employee during the past 12 months.
Ooh.
Yeah.
What talk about an incident report? We've talked about this before.
hmm So incident reporting is really important because otherwise it's just gossip.
It's
I
he
don't
said,
want to
she said.
hear
Yeah.
I don't want to hear about gossip. I want to hear something really serious went down at the studio. I need it documented. And so we have a whole process for that. Again, from my coach Terry. Um, so yeah, and a lot of things aren't really incidents that people end up reporting. And so then we'll go back to the person and say, like, hey, this isn't really an incident. Nobody was injured. Nothing really bad happened. We appreciate you letting us know. Thank you. Communication channels are always open. You can just let us know about this stuff in person. Um, but in terms of things where, like if I get a complaint about an employee from a client, like that's gonna be addressed in their review. Such and such client said you were this. Can you tell me your side of the story? Like, how did this go down? Because
And
I
that's
wasn't there and nobody reported on it, but the client sent me an email.
right. And in that case, you're not waiting till the end. You're addressing it right then.
Oh, for sure. But I'm
Yeah.
saying in terms of how many of those were
Yes.
received during the year, like if it's more than one,
Yeah. If there's a similar thread in the
yes.
complaints, right? And obviously too, if there is, and the thing about incident report, it's really there for your benefit, your protection in a way. And particularly if it's between a client, even if it's between 2 employees, is getting them both to document it so that you have it, as you said, you have the both sides of it, then and it could just be sometimes people just don't get along. It
Yep.
just happens. It's like, hey, you don't like each other, there's nothing wrong with that, that's fine, but you got to be professional in the workspace kind of thing versus something that is fundamentally like there's aggressive behavior, whatever the thing may be. And then obviously if there's an incident with a client, then getting the employee side of it as well. So you have both sides documented. And of course, also anything regard to an accident needs to be documented right away. And
100%.
even to the point of like taking pictures, things like that. And again, it sounds, oh my gosh, this sounds so corporate. But the reality is, it's for your protection. It's for your protection. Like we were on an onsite I was at an onsite a couple of years ago, and the person at the front desk was, I don't know, opening a box and had one of those box cutters and just sliced across her hand it's like, I mean, I've done that. And she's like, oh no, it's fine. Oh no, it's fine. Now the owner was there because we are doing the onsite. She says, no, it's not fine. Get the first aid kit. Nope, this is not going. So and so, take her to the emergency room. I feel she needs stitches. And the employee at that point, because it was bleeding, and I recognized, I said, get her to sit down because she was losing blood. She was starting to feel very faint.
Oh,
Right. So it wasn't okay. It was like, let's document that's sort of an extreme example, and that's the type of thing that you want to have on record. So if there is anything down the road, because Shannon's husband is a lawyer and he knows this. Anybody, it's like you want to have the evidence that this is what we did. You document it. And again, that's one of those things when you own a business, whether it's yoga or boot camp, whatever it is, you need to have a process for that because it's protection for your business.
For sure. And in the state of California, there's really no ambiguity with respect to this. I mean, if your employee is injured on the job, the state of California requires that you file a report with them first.
Gotcha.
Then they report to your workers' comp insurance, and then all that whole thing kicks in.
Right.
Um, Ask me how I know this, but you
Usually
know,
we know stuff like this based upon experience.
these things happen.
These
You
things
know,
happen.
we're barefoot in a room. Things
Yeah.
happen.
Yeah, that's why I just saw an email from, I'm on a lot of studios email lists. And the subject matter, and sometimes I open them, sometimes I don't, which just goes to show you if it's a good subject line, I will open it. And this is a good subject line, is it was about glass bottles. And what I guessed from the email was somebody had a glass bottle and it probably broke in the studio and somebody stepped and cut their foot. And they're saying, effective immediately, please do not, da 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 da, all that kind of stuff. Um, I was kind of going back to the review process is again, Shannon started to do it annually and ideally find the cadence that works. If to start, if annually is all your bandwidth is for, that's a great place to start. And the thing is you can have an annual review and then like quarterly check-ins that aren't necessarily as big in terms of the sit down. And if that even just seems, it's like maybe you start with once a year or maybe even biannually, right? And if even quarterly feels too big, then maybe you do it 3 times a year. And here's the other thing that I didn't realize until much later is I did it on a quarterly basis at my studio, but I did all the teachers, everybody at the beginning of the quarter where, okay, hello, a quarter is 3 months. So it doesn't have to be the calendar quarter, Q1, it could be you do, so particularly if you have a big staff, a lot of teachers, a lot of front desk, you can do part of it, you could have a rolling 3 month. So like every month you're doing a performance review for a smaller number of people. And again, in the beginning, if you're thinking this, oh my God, I never could do this, smaller team, once or twice a year is fine. But as you grow, this is what can really help your business because this is where you're talking about delivery of the product, the service, which is the class. And this is a lot of this can be how are they following the class experience outline? Are they adhering to it? Are they going off the farm? Are they doing weird things? That type of things. Those things you can nip in the bud right away. And again, this is where if you have a lead teacher, I know Shannon, you're working to get lead teachers in each of your modalities. And again, you're listening to this going, oh my gosh, I can't do that. Just start small. You can just start with the numbers because that's easy in that you can get the data.
Yeah, and I think being able to, I have 44 employees, which I have no idea how that happened, but they're all in separate departments, and so putting that team lead in charge of reviewing their team, obviously I'm involved in the process,
But
especially when it
not to be,
comes
yeah,
to compensation adjustments and things of that nature. And also performance, even when it comes to a studio assistant like our cleaning crew or our front desk staff, there's always there are things that need to improve. I'm aware of them. And they do need to be communicated to the staff member. And like you said earlier, um, at first, all I could really manage was a year, an annual, because I was like, this is crazy.
okay.
This is crazy. There's too many people here. And then it's now that I've done a couple of years that now I'm like, okay, now I'm going to move into a quarterly cadence, like you said, as a check-in based on, 0, 1, 2. 0 meaning like something has to be done. 1, you got to make some adjustments. 2, everything's fine. We don't need to talk about it. So, yeah, I've had some help with that too on the HR side.
Yeah. I like that. It's just make it super easy, 0, 1, 2.
Yep.
And then, like you said, the twos, the ones that are crushing it, you just keep checking in with them.
Yeah.
Because you want them to feel like, hey, you're noticing kind of thing. It's not just not, typically you know, the proverbial child, the sick child gets all the attention and the ones that, kind of thing. So you want to make
They
sure
need acknowledgement and they
they
need
need
to be
acknowledgement and the
recognized.
recognition. We're human beings after all.
Yeah.
Um, so again, if you're listening to this and going, where do I start? Start small. Just start looking at your numbers. Like most softwares have some type of metrics that you can look at teachers, right? And so start there because we always like to say with our KPIs, our key performance indicators, numbers don't lie. It's there. And that's where we start. We always talk about in coaching, we start with the measure. How do we know what direction to go if we don't know where we're at now? And when we do, like I have a couple of free coaching calls coming up in the next couple of weeks, and that's where we always start because oftentimes someone comes in and says, I have this problem. They think they have a lead problem. And when we look at the data, it's like, well, no, you're getting plenty of people in the door. What you have is a conversion problem. You have a sales problem because you're getting all these people coming through, but fewer than this only, this is the percent that's buying your goal offer. So that's the issue, not the lead problem. So that's where we always start. We start with the numbers, we start with the data. And then once you've got that, then what is it that's important to you? And this is where if you have your core values defined, like we do, is like how do you stack up? Where do you fall within our are you adhering to our core values? Have you broken any of our core values? Right? Whatever those are, is what are your core values as a business owner? And then has anybody broken that? Like respect,
Hmm.
right? If employees aren't respectful to each other, or if clients aren't respectful, and this is where you can also use your core values. If you do have to have a difficult conversation with a client, it's like, look, these are our core values, and right now, this we can't tolerate the fact that you went off our employee. We understand you were upset, and we apologize for that because of this. However, this is not something that we tolerate in this business. And if that, we just kindly ask you, and if they're, and it's like, then again, well, then perhaps this isn't the place for you anymore.
Yeah. I mean, calling back to a previous episode where I talked about someone who had their spot
Oh, yeah.
and then yelled at a new person, and the conversation with them was exactly that. It's like, well, our core value are we're inclusive,
Yeah.
and we're inclusive. We don't tell people they're in our spot. Like everyone's welcome in all the spots,
Yeah.
you know? And the client was like, "Oh, like she really got it."
Yeah.
Because it
And
came
let's,
from a place of like, these are our guiding principles. We're
yeah.
not just we're not just lip service here. We're
Yeah.
actually like we care about this.
Yeah. Of course, if you like you can enable pick a spot. Some
That's
softwares
what I
have,
said. I said, if you really want to go there,
yeah, if you really want to go there. Yeah.
Walla has pick a spot.
Yeah. And I've
Sounds like a
also thought,
nightmare.
what I think for like a yoga studio, it's not impossible. I mean, obviously, if you're like a spin studio or
Yeah.
Pilates reformer or something like that, where you have some equipment, it's like easy, you number them one, two, three, four, however. But in a yoga studio, you'd have to have some type of system, and unless you
With
put like,
45 spots in my
yeah,
studio, I just foresee absolute chaos.
chaos. And the fact that you, with a hot studio, you're constantly cleaning the floors, are constantly going to be replacing those stickers. But it is possible. It is possible to have a pick a spot depending on your software.
It happened.
So it happens. Anyway, I don't know.
I
Do you
feel like
think?
that's a wrap.
I think that's a wrap. I mean, it's just the two of us today. I mean, we could sit here and I mean, seriously, we could sit here and
We could
talk
talk
about.
about our trip to Canada. We could
We could
talk
talk
about
about
all
our trip
kinds
to
of
Canada.
things.
That would be super fun. Um, and yeah,
Tommy and Chris.
Tommy
Is
and
it a
Chris.
Tommy or is it a
Is it
Chris?
Tommy or is it Chris? That's the new shorthand, Tommy or Chris.
That is the new
That
measurement. If
is
you
the
don't get
measurement.
the joke,
Should we
well,
give them some context? For
I guess
context,
you I guess you could.
for context,
Yes.
we went to the same restaurant a couple of days in for breakfast. And
Yes.
the first day we got there, we had Tommy, and Tommy was adorable as all, I don't know, it must just be you must be adorable to work at this restaurant. I mean, when I mean he was adorable, he was kind, he was attentive, he checked all the marks for really great customer service,
Great customer service.
real nice rapport. Then we went back the next time and
We thought we were in Tommy's
we
section.
thought we were in Tommy's section, but we turned out to be in Chris's section. And Chris
Chris was having a day.
Chris was having a day, and our experience with Chris was just not what it was with Tommy. So now we have Tommy and Chris. So
Those are our
ours are our
that's
nephews.
our
Okay, I
rating
think we've
system.
officially like
Yep,
devolved. Yep,
and that's a
it is the
wrap
wrap.
on this week's Weekly Roundup. Tune in every Friday and make sure you subscribe to the show on Spotify, iTunes, YouTube, or wherever you're listening from. We'll see you next week.
Bye.
Bye.
Hopefully, we'll have more people next week.